A lot of men hear the same line and relax instantly. I'm going back to my hometown. They imagine that the distance from nightlife centers will increase loyalty. They imagine that her hometown will result in an absence of temptation. That assumption is exactly where things start to break, because going home doesn't remove options. In many cases, it reactivates them. Here's the comforting myth that men tell themselves. They think that bars equal temptation, that tourists equal competition, that cities equal access to chaos. So when she leaves the nightlife space and returns to her village, the nervous system calms down. There aren't no bars, no customers, no freelancer friend circles. But this logic is imported from a Western model of relationships and geography. It does not translate cleanly into small town or village dynamics, especially in Thailand. You're imagining an empty board. In reality, the board was already populated long before you arrived. Distance feels protective because it removes visible rivals. You don't see other men, you don't see bars, you don't see nightlife. But exclusivity isn't threatened by strangers first. It's threatened by familiarity. Familiarity requires no effort, no seduction, no performance. And that's the critical distinction. With you, there is often performance, language adjustment, emotional management, expectation calibration. Back home, none of that is required. When she returns to her hometown, several things happen at once. Her social role shifts. Her nervous system relaxes. Her identity compresses back into an older version of herself. She is no longer navigating foreign expectations. She becomes a daughter again, a village girl again, and a known entity within a familiar ecosystem. And that familiarity opens doors that were never locked to begin with. This isn't about malice. It's about psychological gravity. Old emotional grooves don't disappear just because time passed. They wait. This is the part almost no one talks about. In many villages and small hometowns, past lovers don't vanish. They stay, the first boyfriend, the ex who never quite left emotionally, the boy she grew up with, the man who knows her parents by name. These men aren't new options. They're embedded options. They require no courtship and no explanation. They already understand her background, her family dynamics, and her emotional patterns. And most importantly, they carry shared memory. Here's the critical line to understand. With you, she performs. With the men from her hometown, she remembers. That doesn't mean she plans anything. It means nostalgia lowers defenses. Proximity plus history creates shortcuts, and emotional shortcuts are dangerous precisely because they don't feel like betrayal when they begin. They feel like comfort. Men often confuse reduced visibility with increased loyalty. They think, she's not around nightlife. She's with her family. She's back in her village. But exclusivity is not enforced by geography. It's enforced by boundaries, and boundaries don't strengthen automatically when a man is absent. In some cases, absence removes accountability. You're no longer there to notice shifts in tone. You're no longer part of the daily rhythm. You're no longer present in moments of boredom or emotional drift. That creates space, and space invites familiarity to fill it. Family presence does not guarantee moral supervision. In many cases, family environments are pragmatic, not romantic. If an old boyfriend helps the parents, if he brings food, if he fixes something, if he contributes, he isn't seen as a threat, he's seen as useful. And usefulness often overrides emotional boundaries in village settings. This doesn't require deception. It requires alignment. Here's the trap. Men believe exclusivity is something she keeps for them while away, but exclusivity is something she chooses repeatedly. If it's fragile, distance exposes it. If it's real, distance doesn't matter. The mistake is assuming location does the work that character hasn't yet proven it can sustain. Let's strip emotion out of this. Some women are loyal, some are not, some are undecided, some drift when unobserved. Going home doesn't decide that, it reveals it. Distance doesn't create betrayal, it creates opportunity. And opportunity doesn't corrupt, it clarifies. Here's the correct framework. Exclusivity is not proven by where she goes. It's proven by what boundaries she maintains, how she communicates, and whether transparency exists without pressure. If exclusivity exists, it survives distance. If it doesn't, hometowns often obscure the facts unless the man is very perceptive. Here's the sentence men need to internalize. You didn't lose her because you weren't enough. Too many men think if they'd only done something different that she wouldn't have drifted. The problem is most bargirls are not exclusive by nature. Their job requires compartmentalization that ultimately destroys any relationship they try to have. Understand her world, but don't romanticize it. Distance is not protection. Family often is not supervision. And hometowns are not emotional deserts. And genuinely ask yourself this question. Do you need proximity to feel safe in the relationship? If so, you're already negotiating with anxiety, not trust. If this resonated, you already know why. Drop your thoughts in the comments. This topic pulls stories men rarely tell publicly. Subscribe if you want psychology without fantasy and clarity without comfort. Because understanding patterns doesn't make you cynical. It makes you prepared. Stay sharp.
Kamu dah kan 1 year 14 and back to year 1.